Everybody knows about the country Rwanda because of the genocide that happened. Okay, the president of Rwanda, that guy right there, his name is Paul Kagame, of Rwanda for the past 20 years. A lot of people consider him to be a dictator who's able to camouflage himself. They consider him to be a chameleon who's pretending to be a democracy advocate, but in reality, people say that he's just a traditional African dictator who's pretending to be a man of democracy. He has a lot of clout and his name carries a lot of weight simply because he helped Rwanda transition into a modern, successful economy since he's been president. You know, he's transitioned out of the effects of the genocide. He's successfully mended relationships between the two different tribes that were involved in the genocide, and he's basically used his status as a hero to pretty much lead Rwanda for 20 years. He has a reputation for jailing and abusing anybody who criticizes him. And this man right here is the guy who the movie Hotel Rwanda was made after. You know, he was the guy that was, he was the character in that movie. And he's always been considered a hero of the Rwanda genocide. And he's been convicted, and he will have to serve 25 years in prison. He's an American resident, a Belgian citizen. He was basically kidnapped from Dubai by the Rwandan government. And he's been a vocal critic of the president of Rwanda. He's led he's a member of a particular political group that's apparently affiliated or allegedly affiliated with a rebel group that has committed acts of violence in Rwanda over the last few years. And as a result of his affiliation with this rebel group, the president of Rwanda found it necessary to jail him for 25 years. Yeah. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad, Yeah, and the fact that he's actually a Belgian citizen makes it even more bizarre that the Rwandan government was able to extradite him against his will and force him to take a guilty verdict. And yeah, I encourage you to study Rwanda. Rwanda is actually one of the most prosperous countries in Africa right now. They are currently not in debt, which is unlike any other African nation. Most African nations are heavily indebted to the Western world, but Rwanda isn't. And the fact that Rwanda is so successful, and the fact that Rwanda is pretty much the poster child for independent African modern-day success, the president of Rwanda is able to get away with essentially radically abusing his opposition. So he's a good guy. He helped transition Rwanda out of the genocide into a modern-day nation that's not in debt, that's very rich, that's very modern. But at the same time, he's been in control of the country for 20 years, and he's imprisoning anybody who has anything bad to say about him.